Kilted
Kilted
balls.
balls. Yeah.
I have no idea what rhythm, what song, anything that I just did. So if that sounded good, people, leave a comment and I will try to recreate it.
I thought it sounded good from my end, so but that's just me. So who knows?
Well, you are amazing. So, do you often wear the glasses during the podcast? I don't pay attention.
I do. I usually try to put them on, although I don't like this. See how that? It's like,
Yeah, yeah. That's why I purposely never wear mine because I didn't like the reflection. So I
oh, I
can't wear
see.
them.
It's
And
not.
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's not as bad right now because the overhead light's on.
Oh, nice. Well, I've had like allergies and stuff that bother my eyes. And like lately with my contacts in, I can't read. And my right one is just a little bit off. And
Oh,
like I was at, I don't know, like the dollar store or something, or Meyer, I don't know. And Amy was like, "Oh, I lost my glasses. I don't know where." And she has some like really nice prescription blue light
mhm.
ones for reading.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, well, like what about these ones?" And I just grabbed like a 1.5 off the rack and I put them on and I was like, "Holy cow!" And like they're all like laughing at me. They're like, "What?" I'm like, "I can read everything. Like this is like crystal clear." They're
Darn
like, "Do you
it.
need readers?" And I'm like, "It's not so much that I need readers, it's the fact that I have like powerful contacts in."
Yeah, and you still need 1.5s.
And I still need the 1.5. So I go, because without anything on, I can read just fine. Like my eyes are really good
Oh,
here.
okay.
But but yeah, and so now I'm like, okay, so is it the contacts or is it allergies? And like right now I can read this okay. So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know. But then I see you, you look all cute. Maybe I should wear them. They said I look like an old man when I throw them on. So,
Oh, see, I haven't gotten that yet.
well, because you're a
But
buff young dude, right?
no, this makes me not look like such a young man, but I
You
was in
can
a
barely
hurry. I
see
was
it.
in a hurry to get out of the shower today, but we uh, wish I would have known.
You could have taken extra time there, scrubbed a
I
little
could have
extra.
actually showered. I could wash myself better.
Well,
Well,
I didn't
because
even shower, so
oh, see, there you go. Well, what had happened was, um, we were running a little bit later because Ollie's TV fell and the thing ripped out and I wasn't paying attention. Like I just looked at the cord and I was like, okay, I need to get a cord like this, not
mhm.
realizing that the outside ripped off of it and not even thinking. I just looked like, Gina showed it to me. I was like, okay. And I'm in Best Buy. I'm like, I don't see this cord. And I'm looking in Amazon and I was like, oh, duh. The rest of it's probably in the TV. But anyways, when we got home, like of course he was starving, starting so early for school. So I cooked right away. Usually the past couple weeks I've been running right when I get home. And then
Yeah.
but today I did that and I downloaded a game for him. So I was running
Aw.
later. So I was pushing my running like right up to recording. So I ran for an hour, which ended at 8:10. So I was like, okay, I need to
You
stretch.
ran for a whole hour?
Yeah, I need to get into shape for that race.
How far did you go in an hour?
I ran between, well, my thing wasn't connecting to the internet. Something's up with either my Peloton or my internet. So that's,
Okay.
people who listen, you hear that all the time.
Hmm,
There's
hmm.
internet. Um, between the first half hour was between 5 miles an hour and 6 miles an hour, and the second half hour was between 5.5 and 6.
So that's what I was thinking. I'm like, you probably did 5 to 6 miles.
Yeah,
Wow, you're hardcore. You're only running 3 miles, you know.
I know, but I still need to get into shape. See, the hour is slower. So when I run shorter times, I try to run faster.
Oh, oh,
But I had to
oh,
make it the whole hour. And I don't know if I'm ready to make the whole hour. I like 6 minutes, 6-minute miles. Or not 6-minute miles, 10-minute miles.
I'm gonna say 6 minute miles is pretty good. Pretty good.
But it's
Ten
been
minute
fun.
miles.
And I didn't run all weekend. And I was sad to have missed you.
Hmm.
It's a tough, tough choice.
I know, I can't believe it. You were literally in the state and you dissed me in the state.
And actually, we didn't get there until like 6 o'clock that night, anyways, because of traffic and construction. And we stopped at
I was
Meyer.
gonna say, and you have to stop 100 times.
Yep.
So that is
So
true.
it
Did I
worked out.
tell you what I did with my new ice maker? What Cal and I did?
with your lemonade?
Oh my gosh, it's so good. We just switched back to regular ice cubes, but
Mm-hmm.
we took it to the brother-in-law and in-law, and like they were like, "This is amazing.
That's
This
awesome.
is so good." And I was like, "Yeah."
That's super good.
So, yeah, my daughter was just calling me, and I'm like, "Remember, I said call your mom."
Mm. Mm.
So
So,
today has been like a stupid emotional day.
oh, really? What's
Stupid
up?
emotional. So the first thing is my one daughter who is just calling. We dropped her off at college, like an hour and a half away,
Mm-hmm.
which we've sent another one to college, but this one was different. One, because it's further away, and second, like she's the daughter who always hangs with us, right? So we always watch
Mm-hmm.
shows together.
Mm-hmm.
She's done all of my sports with me, right? So she's like always around, and like she's the one who's always like trying to help out, right? Like every kid is different, but she's
Yeah.
the one who's like we always tell like our youngest daughter, we're like, you're gonna like have to start hanging out with us. And she's like,
Mm-hmm.
what? I don't want to hang out with you. And we're like, listen, your sister's gone and she's been hanging out with us constantly, and we can't have that like go away. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna be you. But it was pretty good until like the very end. And I was like, okay, well, I'm leaving you. And you could feel the demarcation line in the universe, right?
Is this never the same once
No.
first move out?
Yes.
Even though she may be home for the summer, blah
Yeah.
blah blah, but
And we'll see her, but you could literally feel the change in the universe. And I'm like, this sucks.
mm-hmm.
Like, you hear of the things, and we always talk about changing the universe and all of that, but to actually feel it and see it change, like that's powerful and that's emotional.
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with that. And it was just me. So it
Mm-hmm.
was just me dropping her,
Okay.
which it was just me for her college visits, like almost
Mm-hmm.
all of them. And it was just me for a whole bunch of stuff. So, like, it was kind of like a thing. But while I'm doing that, my wife's with her family making the decision to put her mom in hospice.
Oh.
And so she calls like on the way home, and I'm like, okay, how did it go? And she's like, well, we all talked and decided, and mom talked and decided, and yeah, we're gonna go into hospice. And I'm like, so like how long are they thinking? And they're like anywhere from like 2 to 5 days. I'm like,
Wow.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
that's rough, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
you and I have talked about it on the podcast a couple times now, and this adds like a whole new dimension to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, we've talked about, is it better to go fast or is it better to go slow? Right. And her mom is one of the ones I think of because she has cancer. And so we're always like, oh man, this
Mm-hmm.
slow, drawn out process is so rough. But then she gets so much by seeing the kids and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
it like counteracts it. But then I'm like, okay, how about when
Yeah.
like it's quick still, but like everybody knows, like everybody's like, okay, I got to go say my last goodbyes because I know
Mhm.
this time next week it's over, right? And it's
Yeah.
like that adds like a whole new layer of like what the fuck, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
so yeah, so I
Oh
think
man.
I think people in the house are emotionally drained. The daughter
Mm-hmm.
that's at college, we haven't told yet, right?
Yeah.
Because she's like super busy, super emotional what she's doing, and we're like we're gonna have to give her 24 hours, and then we're gonna have to tell her because you can't wait any longer, right? Like
You gonna
shit's
go
gonna hit the
grab
fan.
her?
We're gonna have to like
You can
I
say
was like
bye.
I'm like we're gonna have to have her tell her band director, listen, I've got to go say bye.
Yeah.
And like they're gonna just have to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't understand it, and I'm sure they will because they're humans,
I'm
but
sure
if
they
they
will.
but if they don't, then I'll have a talk with them, which I don't want to do. Like for those
Yeah.
of you who don't know my parenting style, it's to not be involved like
Mm-hmm.
that. I am not a, what do they call them? I'm not a helicopter parent. I'm not a goalie parent. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a Zamboni parent. Like I want my kiddos to know how to handle things, to handle them themselves. And we always preach that and push that.
Mm-hmm.
But there are times when I have to get involved, which is never good for
Yeah.
anybody. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think I will. Like I'm sure
Yeah,
And
for
directors
sure.
have lots of feelings and emotions.
Hmm.
So it's not like you're dealing with some like science jackass like me. So,
Yeah, exactly. Well, speaking of parents and kids, Oliver is following in my footsteps. I'm very proud.
oh, yes, yes. What's
Yep.
he doing?
Third grade. He had to call home today because he was talking in class.
So he had to call home because he was talking in class today.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow, nice.
I can remember third grade I had to call. I was scared to death. I was crying and all that good stuff. So yeah. I had to tell him that story too. He was a little upset, but
Is he at the same school he was last year?
yeah, he is. His
Nice.
teacher this year seems a bit more strict, which
Yeah.
is fine. I mean, he's a year older. He's can't really
Right.
be talking in class.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it was a tough day for the little guy.
Oh, poor guy. And how's the other little guy doing with preschool?
He hasn't started yet. I think he has another week before he
Oh,
starts.
another week, another week.
Yep.
Okay. So kind of the slow getting them both into it.
I think mommy's gonna have the
I
tougher
was, yeah,
part with
that's what I was just thinking.
that.
I'm like, poor mom, she's getting to stretch it out. I don't know if she's going to be able to handle it.
Uh-huh.
Well, and that's rough. Like, and I said this to my daughter today when we were there. I'm like, this is so much worse than kindergarten. I'm like, so much worse. I'm like, this
Uh-huh.
sucks. So yeah,
Yeah. She's she's an adult.
right, right. Oh my gosh, my fortune today. I forget what hers was, but we got lunch together, and my fortune was something like your positive attitude like will affect everybody around you or something
Awesome.
like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, well, how true is that? And she's like, right.
Mm-hmm. That's super awesome.
We always talk about like, it's the positivity that keeps everything going. And
Mm-hmm.
like even today where I'm like, remember, don't be thinking or voicing those negative things, right? I
Yeah.
found a little bit of Jesse Itzler's V Friends thing, and I remember like the big message he had. And I don't know if we said this in the podcast because we talked a lot about what he did,
Mm-hmm.
but his big thing was, you probably don't remember this, maybe you do, was my life is my message.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh, I've got to remember that. Like, that's the thing. Like, how I live my life is the message I want everybody else to get.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, that's like, it's what I do that I want you to see. Right.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
So I was like, oh, that's so good. Because
Mm-hmm.
then remember, I was all confused. I remember during the speech because he said that and then he branched off into the napkin thing that
Yep.
people have said before, like, what's on
Mm-hmm.
your napkin?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you talking about the napkin now? I thought my life was my message. Then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, because the napkin represents your life. So
Yeah.
what are you showing the world is important or big or
Yes.
whatever. So I thought it was good that my daughter noticed it was the positivity. I'm like, nice. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
should be.
No, that's super awesome. Actually, think talking about the VCon, I was running and yeah, I don't like sometimes I'll skip songs because for me, I run better when it's a faster song, when it's, it
Sure.
just how it affects me, how I am.
Right.
Except except the other day, which is a little bit of a faster song, but Defying Gravity came on, so I was flying because I love that song, but
Great song. Great
it's
song.
really hard to run that fast and like almost be crying because when she starts singing, like I get very verklempt. So if it catches my breath wrong, I almost fall off the peloton. But anyways, so it was towards the end of the run and I had a good pace and there were like three good songs in a row. So I clicked the top one and I just was running.
Mhm.
After the third song, another song popped up and I had about 5 minutes left and it was Live Life, which was very cool to have. I don't know if you remember this song, but that is Mr. Lewis and Buster Rhymes. So remember when they
Oh,
played that?
yes. Yes, and that came on your
Yeah, it came on.
list.
So it just like goes back and it made me think about a lot of the things like, that just came up just while I'm listening to it because it's not a fast song, but just
Right.
the words and listening to it was just awesome. Like I get to do this, going back to we talk about when we working out and you're not, you don't have to, you get to and
Right.
just a lot of that stuff. And actually I almost was just going to keep running. I was like, I'm just going to keep going, but I don't want to like hurt myself or do anything like
Yes.
that. I've already been running an hour, so
Yeah. I mean, that's probably plenty for you. Probably
yeah.
an hour's
But it
all
was
you.
awesome. It just was like made me feel 10 feet tall and bulletproof.
Hell yeah. That's how you want it to feel. That's how you want it
Uh-huh.
to feel. Heck yeah. So thinking about my hospice in-law,
Mm-hmm.
like if you were in that spot, what would you want? Like you can't leave your hospital, right? Like you're stuck, you're in hospice. What do
Okay,
you,
so she's going to be in hospice in the hospital, not hospice at home.
yeah, not hospice at home. They had to decide whether it was in or out or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do with your last 2 to 5 days?
I agree that seeing everybody would be awesome. Like kind of like that. I saw my father. He was in hospice at home, and that
Mhm.
was I don't know if you remember that, but I was at the Florida State Fair and I shut down my booth for the day.
Yeah, as well you should have.
Yeah. So I was just like, it was that money didn't matter as much as seeing him a last time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be, I mean, as far as
That's what
what,
my wife was all worried about work. And I'm like, fuck work.
mm-hmm,
I'm
yeah,
like, no, no, no. Like that should never like,
mm-hmm,
well, I'm worried, I am kind of like the top of the chain. I'm like, screw that. I'm
mm-hmm,
like, they can figure that shit out.
yeah. If they're gonna be like, oh, blah blah blah,
Yeah. I'm like, and she's like, well, I don't have an assistant. I'm like, that's on them. They should have hired an assistant. It's been a month. Like,
mm-hmm,
I'm like, no, 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 no. Like,
yeah,
deal with your mom.
mm-hmm, yeah. I think it's more everyone else being able to react with her because there's not much that she can do. She can
Right.
she can say goodbye. I would hope that she stays positive, which she is the more positive side of that
Yes. Way more
couple.
positive.
So I think that you're gonna have that and you're gonna see that. But just to be able to stay that way and like that's not even something like, we could talk about it like, oh, I think I would do this or that, but to really there's no you can't put yourself in that position.
No. And even trying to put yourself in there, it like messes with your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think that would actually be almost harder, right? Like
Yeah, to know, like,
to know,
okay,
like, okay, I know I've got like this much and I can't do anything, right? My body's already,
yeah,
I've just got my mind, and
yeah.
that's like even worse because you're like, okay, my mind is good, but I know my body's gonna shut down here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, that's
Like I
rough.
know I want to go skinny dipping in the Caribbean, so get me on a plane,
Get me on a plane. And I tell you what,
push me
if
out.
like everybody else can do what they want, but if like if she had said that to her kiddos and was like, hey, I want to just go to the Caribbean and put my toes in, they'd be like, well, you're going to be in home care and stuff. She'd be like, well, that's what I want. I'd be like, yeah, fuck all of you. I'm taking
Mm-hmm.
her.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
sorry, everybody. Like, if
Mm-hmm.
that's her last gig, then
Mm-hmm.
and I'll just take all the pills and shove them down her throat, and we'll just hit that plane, baby.
Yeah.
So
Because I mean, it's really last wishes. If it's anything that could be done, like I know Ken, the, I can't remember if it was the day before or the day after I was there, but he was in hospice. He was already in hospice,
yeah.
but he got up, like he was bedridden, but he
Hmm.
got up this day. He got on his motorcycle and he drove his motorcycle around for a few hours, came back, laid back down, and then yeah, I think I saw him that. No, I saw him the day before that. So that he did that the day after, and then he had passed the day after that.
Yeah, like that's how you should be doing it,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
right? So if you end up being that way, you just tell me and I'll just do it. And the hell with all the people being mad.
Sweet.
I'd
Well,
be
I
like,
have to make
whatever.
sure I know where all my keys are. That's the first step.
Know where your keys are. I used to know where they are. Did you move them?
I
Because
still
you remodeled.
yes. That's what I
So
need to make
now
sure.
you might need to tell me where those are because you remodeled. So
Hmm. Well, I typed them all in my phone.
oh, good, good. So we can find them there.
Nope, they're all in the same spots. But they won't be here for too long. So we're getting there. Like that's
Nice.
that's part that's
But if
been
they're at your house, that's a different spot because before they weren't at your house.
no, they are at the at the other spot.
Oh, they are at the other spot. Okay, good. Phew.
Because I had 2 spots. I had some here and some there.
Oh, okay. Now they're all there. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to
But
know.
yeah,
Good to know.
it'd be wild. I think I would want to go someplace. Personally, I'd like to go someplace. Like one last time.
Yeah, like maybe, or maybe say, hey, fam, we're just doing one last trip.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm bedridden, make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Or just pretend. So
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah,
reminds
exactly.
me of, do you remember the old movie John Travolta Phenomenon?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they were like, listen, you can't leave here. You're sick. And he's just like, yeah, sorry. It's my last day. I'm doing what I want.
Yeah. Like
he's like,
bye-bye.
I'm gonna go make love under an apple tree. So peace. I'm like, you go, John, you go.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, so this is not going to be an exciting week for you. Yeah.
no, I imagine it's gonna be uber shitty. Uber
Yeah.
shitty. Yeah, and today was my like first day back at work, and like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like meeting people afterwards. I had a whole bunch of meetings after work.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, how was the first day? I'm like, I have no idea. They're like, well, I'm like, I didn't go. They're like, you didn't go to your first day? I'm like, nah. I'm
Like I had something to do.
like, I had shit to do. And they're like, are you okay? And I'm like, nope. And they're like, alrighty then. I'm like, yep.
And then no D&D tomorrow. This week sucks.
This week sucks. You guys are a bunch of dicks. Yep. I do like it that the people who are like higher up or whatever, like they're like, clearly something's not okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, nope. And they're like, okay, cool. They don't
Mm-hmm.
pester me, they don't badger me about it.
Mm-hmm.
They're just like, it's gotta be weird if it's you
Yeah.
missing. And I'm like, cool, thanks. I'm glad I've built that kind of respect.
Yes,
So.
exactly.
Which comes, I think, from just being true to yourself all the time and letting people see that. And like you and I have talked, like being a worker, being a person who's a helper, people recognize that, right?
Yes, exactly.
So you hope anyway.
Mm-hmm.
My people seem to recognize it. So
Yeah, exactly. So I did get an update. I don't like last year, if you remember when I went to the reunion and I talked about my cousin afterwards.
Yes.
So we didn't talk much about crypto this time, but he did say, oh, you didn't lose everything in the FTX collapse. He's like, I was kind of worried about you. I was like, heck no, I didn't have any money in FTX exchange.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. I said I did want to short it, but I didn't. And then I was sad about it. That was the only thing I didn't do.
We should have shorted that. That was, hindsight 2020. Past me if you're listening. Short FTX anytime. It really doesn't matter when you short it, just short it.
Yeah, just short it.
Just short that shit.
The top of the market was the end of November 2022. Just short.
Just short it. Just short it all the time. And keep shorting it. Put all the shorts in.
Although I haven't been listening as much this week, but we did hit a crazy bottom again, it looked like.
So it kind of dipped a little bit. I haven't been on there much. Obviously been busy, but kind of doing some bottom.
It got down to 25,300 Bitcoin did.
20 what?
25,300.
Oh yeah. I saw it drop down there.
Yeah, it's 26.
And I was like, because I've been buying a lot of like XRP and it dropped. And I was like, stop dropping. Stop dropping. You're scaring me.
It's crazy. It's funny because I've started, like, especially being back in school, I started listening to a lot more of the podcasts again and everything.
Nice.
And they're like, this is the worst part. Like, this is when like people, any of our listeners who's been on that journey with us, like people are getting out because you're starting to like people's faith is really starting to wane here. This kind of like it's been in the bear market, blah, blah, blah. You're starting to believe the fudders, this and that. So
it's a rough time, but I'm feeling good. I'm like looking at it going, okay, I should buy more XRP.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, ooh, 50 cents. You're looking good. You're looking good.
Who would have thought it went back down to that?
Nope.
So,
you said 60, right? Low 60.
I thought 60 was it.
Yeah, and it dropped all the way to 50.
Yep.
Yep. Something we haven't talked about yet, and we'll hit this real quick, is Corey Van Leeuwen, an artist that we kind of
Oh
fell
yeah.
in love with when he did his Mike Tyson's. We both bought Tyson's. We both made money off the Tyson's, which is even better. I
Yeah.
loved the artwork, but we made money on it.
And I bought another.
Yeah, and I thought about buying back into him, which, by the way, I almost bought back into V Friends.
Oh yeah.
Version 1 this week. I didn't. I resisted the urge, but I was
Uh-huh.
super close. Well, there was a bat for 2 ETH.
Oh.
I'm like, 2 ETH. I'm like, an ETH is low right now. It was like 30, 3,000.
Mm-hmm.
Man, maybe I'll put an offer for 1.75, but I didn't do it. But anyway, he released a free NFT last week, and I picked it up in Kilted Balls. But the thing that was cool about this NFT is it was a puzzle. It was like an escape room kind of a thing. Every day he like tweeted something, and they were like really obscure random clues. And then you had to figure out the clues, and you got a one of one NFT as you
Yeah, that's
figured out the
awesome.
clues. And like some of them were really cool. Like he posted like this little poem, and like I read the person who won it, and they're like, yeah, so in the first line when he says this, you had to like go to his wallet, find this thing, see who bought it the most. Then you had to go to their wallet, figure out what was the second most, and then
Oh
look at this and
wow.
connect it to this. And then you had to figure out the size of it from the meta, and then that was the password.
No way.
I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
holy shit. Like, and
He's a
he's probably pissed, not pissed. Like I'm sure he loved the game, but like this person figured that out, I don't know, in like 20
Yeah, you were
minutes.
saying that. You were saying that people were figuring out all these clues like super fast.
Like I'm looking at that clue going, what the hell is he talking about? And then this other person's like, oh, here's what it means. Blah, 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 blah.
hmm
I'm like, how did you know? Like, how did you know that?
hmm
I'm like, that is so smart.
Yeah, that's
So
awesome.
yeah, it was super cool. So yeah, if you ever get a chance to check him out, his use of colors is super cool. I really like it.
Yeah,
He's
I follow him on
hilarious.
Insta, and he is in, or even on the Facebook, you can see it where he's just doing a bunch of stuff where it's pretty cool, where he's like painting, and he'll do it like in fast motion as he's painting the picture, or
That's
maybe it's
awesome.
Twitter. I don't know, one of those. You know what I mean?
I do. I
Yeah,
know
I like
exactly
him.
what
I
you
like
mean.
him a lot. I like him as an artist.
Yeah, and we got to hear him talk, and that was fun. So
hmm
it was good. It was
Yeah.
good. So yeah. Anyway, people, it's been an emotional roller coaster kind of a day. I'm kind of beat. So we're gonna
hmm
end this podcast, I think, a little bit early, but stay tuned. I'm sure we're gonna have lots more for all of you.
hmm
So cool things happening, more reunion stories, maybe. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah,
Anything.
it was an awesome time. It was great to see Grandma. It was her 90th as well, which I didn't realize the day we were getting there was her birthday. So it was kind of good that we at
It's
least got
kind of cool
there.
that your grandma's like hidden 90 and my mom's almost hidden 90.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
hmm
it's a thing. So,
She came up. It was good. Paul and I had talking about her a little bit.
oh yeah. Was he like
Mhm.
that woman?
Well, no, I was talking about how it was funny about going to the to
Christmas?
your Christmas, yeah. And everyone's like, "You were here last year." I'm like, "It's been 20 years."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a good time.
You're always there in spirit. You just didn't
Exactly.
know. So,
Exactly.
well, people enjoy it. Hopefully, it's a great week. And this is Ballbuster signing off.
But the Dragon Chair, love you all.